Well, good morning and welcome to On This Day, July 24th. Going for a little bike ride this morning before we get started with what happened on this day. Probably a lot of wind going by the camera, so I'm just going to have to see if this will work or not. Now, on this day in 1847, Brigham Young and the first members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Mormons, arrived at the Great Salt Lake. And they immediately began knocking on everyone's door. And on this date in 1862, Martin Van Buren, the 8th President of the United States, died in Kinderhook, New York. He is still dead to this day. On July 24th, 1866, Tennessee became the first Confederate state readmitted to the Union. They were originally kicked out for not paying Union dues. In 1974, the U.S. Supreme Court unanimously, that's a hard word to say, ruled that President Richard Nixon had to turn over White House tapes to the Watergate Special Prosecutor. He turned over Scotch tape, masking tape, duct tape, and electrical tape. Nobody knows why the special prosecutor needed all that tape. In 2002, 9 coal miners were trapped in a mine in Pennsylvania. All were rescued 3 days later by Loretta Lynn. She was a coal miner's daughter, you know. I think that's what happened. Test, see if you can see me.